The boss has got a new car, and here it is, 1957 four-door Bel Air, a super cool car with a heap of personality. Small box Chev, turbo 700, and we're hoping it's a runner. We've got some plumbing to finish off, a little bit of wiring to do, and we hope we can get it running so we can find out what we've got and we can plan the project out from there. G'day, I'm Matt from KCK Lubricants. Today we're at KCK Racing Australia with another cool project car. And we hope we can do a bit of a series on this as we get it together and as this car takes shape into something cool. Probably the one thing that's stopping us at this point from turning the engine over is the transmission cooler hoses. So I thought that would be the best job and the best place to start. I've got a couple of lengths of this tube, comes with the fittings on it, really easy to work with, and some flexible hose to the ends. So I just need to keep this nice and neat, keep it away from anything hot, and then use enough flexible hose at the end so the pipes don't crack and it doesn't break the fitting out of the radiator. Just finishing up on the Auto Trans cooler lines, using 7/16 alloy tube, really neat, easy to work with. I've got my bender there, which makes it really easy to get a nice radius on the bends. And another thing we do is just put a little flare just on the end of the tube there, you can see it through the hose, just to stop the hose clamp sliding off. But I should be able to get those in now, and that's the last of the Auto Trans cooler hoses, and then we'll get onto the fuel line. So we've just finished off the auto transmission lines, and we thought we'd crank it up, get some oil pressure up in the engine. We know the engine's full of oil. Went and hit the key and nothing. This thing is locked solid. So the first thing we did was pull the plugs out, and all the plugs were finger tight. And as I worked my way back, pulled the end plugs out, they were full of stale fuel and a bit of rusty water. So we're kind of thinking at this stage that when this was cleaned in California before it came over, it's got some water in the intake and it might have rusted up one of the bores. So to be safe, the engine's coming out. We want this thing to be spot on. We don't want to take any risks. So down tools, pull the engine out, we'll get it stripped down and we'll see what's going on. I'll tell you what, there's some pretty sad faces around here this afternoon. Just got the engine out. It's probably only an hour or so on the tools. They're pretty good to work on, and a lot of stuff was still yet to be connected. So the prime time to be doing it, if anything. I'm still pretty convinced it's full of water, so I'd really like to get the heads off it so I can see the bore, see what we're up for, and we've got some direction again, you know. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get the top of the engine pulled down, and let's see what we find. That's it, the heads are off, and it's had water sitting in the front of that for a long time. It's a little bit surprising. When I was pulling the plugs out, I was getting a lot of moisture out of the back cylinders, and that looks like it was probably fresh, but the stuff that's been sitting in the front of that engine has been in there for a long time. And generally, if these leak in the car, the rear of the engine's the lowest point, so you'll get moisture in the rear cylinders. But because of the sump, if you throw that on the ground and leave it outside, that's when you get rust in the front cylinders. So kind of not really what we were hoping for, and certainly not the engine we thought we were getting with the car. Very disappointing, and that's going to be pretty hard to tell the boss. Well, what we found was kind of what I was expecting. A lot of rust in the cylinders. I'm glad we didn't try to bar it over and free it up, because we just would have done more damage. But seeing I've already made a mess, I'll keep pulling this down. We'll get it cleaned up, we'll measure it, we'll make sure we can reuse the block. We'll make sure everything's going to be okay. And it's, you know, it's a blessing in disguise. We've got to look at the positives. We can now have a fresh engine, we can put a cam in it, we can tidy it up, maybe touch the heads up. And you can't expect to buy a 60-year-old car, fly it halfway around the world and expect everything to be cool. So as much as it's disappointing, it's not a showstopper. We'll take the positives, we'll run with it. Stand by for the next episode. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We're going to try to do a lot more of this style of video. Any suggestions on content, please leave a comment, let us know. We do check the comments. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.